I think one of the most important things I hope to achieve is to get to know other colleagues and how they're meeting their challenges and kind of the ways that they look for solutions to problems, especially in leadership.
I'm really hoping to learn from the faculty and also my peers and see how I can develop as a leader.
So it's actually inspired me to really think deeply about who I am, not just as a leader, but as a person.
Just by connecting me with some really interesting people who have already had some great achievements and who I think will go on to have even greater achievements.
The HLA has empowered me to consider leadership in all its shapes and sizes and to recognise that I am also a leader.
I like to be pushed a little bit out of my comfort zone, so I think when you start to feel uncomfortable with things, that's a good stimulus for growth. If you're not feeling uncomfortable, then I think you start to stagnate, and I think that's what the HLA offers as an opportunity to do.
To think about my own leadership style and also to try and put on paper some initiatives I'd like to lead in the future.
I can develop as a leader of the team that I'm already involved in with MediSense, but also pick up extra skills that will make me more effective in leading medical, clinical teams in the future.
Okay. So, hi, my name is Eamon. I'm a final year medical student at University of Exeter and SDOT's community manager. And I'm here talking with Babi. Would you like to introduce yourself, Babi?
Hi, my name is Babi. I am Director of Communications for We Are Medics on Instagram, and I'm a fourth year at Birmingham Medical School.
Awesome. So, guys, today we're going to be talking about changing hospital localities or changing localities in general. So, remember to join the SDOT's Facebook group, join the SDOT Slack, and like and subscribe to the Med Academy YouTube channel to keep up to date with all of our content. So, Babi, would you like to kind of start the discussion about changing localities?
Sure. So, in Birmingham, we have like a huge area where like the hospitals all sort of belong to the med school. I don't know if that's politically correct. I don't know if they belong to the medical school or the medical school have just like thrown themselves in the deep end being like, we're going to send our students here. But we've got all the way down to Hereford, which is sort of near border Wales, like the little pointy bit, all the way up to Wolverhampton and sort of anything and everything in between. So we've got like a huge area. So that's partly because we've got a massive year in every year. So we've got something like 360 to 400 students a year, and we've got obviously 5 years, so it's quite a lot of us. But also I think partly because Birmingham is so like, it's quite a big city. I think it's like second or third biggest city in the UK. So it is going to naturally have more hospitals, more like GP areas, more like mental health trusts, whatever. So in Birmingham, they're very like keen to get us to switch around. So every term or every sort of new module, we switch around in clinical years. And I think at the start I don't really know what I thought. I thought maybe like, oh, that's a bit like a pain, you know, you start to like get to know the team, you start to get to know the hospital, and suddenly you swap over. But I actually like look at it as a really good thing, because it means that I get to like work in like 10 different hospitals in the Birmingham area. I get to see different ranges of patients, different conditions. Like the Queen Elizabeth Hospital is so niche, it's so specialised. So I used to think, oh my God, like I really want to go to QE, but now that I'm there in fourth year, I'm just like, I just want to see the common things. I don't want to see like 50 different stroke conditions put on top of each other and then me getting asked, what do I think is wrong with this patient? I'm fed up of that. I don't want that anymore. But yeah, it just means that every sort of new module, you've got like the whole excitement going to a new place, but it also means you've got more inductions, more like day one where you just sat in a lecture theatre and they're like, hello, my name is X and I'm in charge of your education, and like this is how the plan will go. But that's sort of how it's like in Birmingham. I think you said Exeter's a bit different to what we do.
Yeah, so in Exeter, we're I think we're completely different, honestly. Like we have I've stayed in one hospital for basically, or like around one area for basically like 4 years now. So I spent the last 2 years in the Royal Devon Exeter, and now I'm in Torbay Hospital. So we really don't move around that much. Like you stay in the hospital for like at least a year. So I don't know. It's like I think yours is like is kind of kind of stresses me, honestly. Like I just, you kind of like all of that moving. Like how long are your placements?
So in third year, we started, I think in October, I would say, and then we finished in December, so like 2 months placement. And then in the sort of Jan time again, yeah, so we started, I think, second week of Jan, something like that, and then COVID happened, so I think it was meant to be a slightly longer placement, but we finished mid-March or end of March, something like that, so again, just over 2 months. In fourth year, obviously, as you get further down the line, the placements get longer and longer, eating into your summer, cry. So I should have started end of June. We did start end of June, and we had 6 weeks of online work, but I would have actually been in a hospital then. So from end of June until the start of August, so a month. And then we came back for September. So from September until December would have been one block. So I'm about to complete my first 8 weeks in neurology and psychiatry. So I really, really loved that. But get this, if you found that stressful, let me tell you about this situation. So I have every Monday and Wednesday and Friday psychiatry, and every Tuesday and Thursday neurology. They're at different areas because they're different trusts. Obviously, mental health is its own faculty, and then every other physical health condition is at QE for me at the moment. But then come this 8 weeks, I go on to a different module. So I'm in surgery and perioperative care. So that will be at QE, but I could literally be in like Warsaw. So it's all fourth year is a bit jam packed because it's sort of, it's fast pacing. But then come January, I've got a 16-week placement. So this year, because of COVID, they've split it up into 2 16 weeks. But one half of the 16 weeks is split up into 2, and that's psychiatry and neurology, which is then further split up into 2, so your week is like subdivided. I know, it's literally getting my heart rate talking about it. But in January, I've got a 16-week placement in just medicine. So every week or 2 weeks, I will swap. So I'll be in cardiology, 1 week done, boom. Geriatrics, 2 weeks done, boom. Okay, endocrinology and diabetes. So that's going to be very sort of, but that's all in the one hospital, luckily. Aren't they nice?
That is so. Like, what's the farthest you've actually had to travel to go to a placement?
So me personally, my furthest was Russell's Hall in Dudley. So that was about 40 minutes in the car. With traffic, there was never really sort of not traffic. But the actual furthest in the Birmingham area is Hereford. So that's an hour and a half away from the medical school. But they give you accommodation there, so you can stay there during the week. And it's free accommodation. They have a cleaner. What the hell? They have a cleaner. It's right by the hospital, literally, like you just walk and you're there. And Hereford's a very cute little small sort of town / city. So it's not bad. But in January, I'm in Wolverhampton, which I think is just meant to be disgusting to get to. Like you go on, I think it's maybe like the M6. I don't know my motorways very well, but if you're trying to get there after 8:30, just don't bother turning up. So you have to like get there before 8:30, but to get there at 8:30 you have to leave at like 7:15, and I don't like that. I'm not about that. Me right now, like I wake up 20 minutes before I need to be at QE, and I'm just like rolling out of my bed like, quickly, let's go. So they do, that's another thing that you've brought to my attention in Birmingham, because they know it's so wide, the area. We have like this almost algorithm where throughout our clinical years they try and make sure that everyone's equal in the distance that they travel. So if you've had Hereford, you will have Queen Elizabeth or a near hospital. So they like balance it out, and we actually get paid for our travel. They've got like certain rules, but basically if you're over 10 miles away from the medical school, like as a point of middle ground, because obviously everyone can live in any part of Birmingham, but it's not sort of a place that you can get to by public transport. They pay you something like £1.40 a day. But then if you're even further away than 10 miles and you can't get there by public transport, it's like £3 something. So I cannot wait for Wolverhampton when I get the dollar coming in. Makes them mornings a little bit worth it. No, it doesn't.
No, okay. No, but like, how can you really like be a medical student in Birmingham without a car then?
So that is a good question. I would argue you can't, but I have a car, so maybe that's why. Everyone car shares, so that's a great thing because there's so many of us within a trust. There's at least, even in Hereford, the smallest one, I think there's definitely 8 of them there, so that's 2 full cars. The Birmingham public transport is really, really, really good. Like, I love the trains for GP placement, so we still do that alongside our hospital stuff. But I will always sort of find a train nearby and then walk maybe like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Some people will cycle, some people will drive. My one housemate cycled to Worcester from here. It's literally like 40 miles. And she was like, sometimes I didn't know if I was cycling on a motorway. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's illegal, but okay, I'm glad that you're alive. She's like, the cars kept beeping at me, and I was like, you're lucky they didn't like purposefully hit you, because I would have been so annoyed. Like, why is there a cyclist on the motorway? Get out. And she's definitely the sort of person to be like on the fast lane thinking she's like zooming ahead of the cars. But so yeah, they've got buses and stuff like that, but some of the placements are like really annoying to get to. So you can still get there, but you've got to take sort of 2 buses, and then you've got to like time it. So you might actually leave at like 7 to get there for 8:30, even if your teaching's maybe at like 9:30 or 10, just because it doesn't work out. But everyone sort of car shares and commutes, because it works out cheaper for the driver to just collect together, and then everyone splits petrol than it would be to just go by yourself. But it is technically, Birmingham say you don't need a car, and you know, people will have cars, so don't like worry about it. But I do think if, say, in your like firm, your teaching group, if no one had a car and you were at a place where it's not Queen Elizabeth or City Sandwell, I think you would struggle a little bit. You do need something to get you there on time with ease.
Yeah, that's like, honestly, that's really interesting. I don't think I really imagined that medical schools were so different, like regarding placements. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I think because when it comes to us, really, is that it's not like that difficult to get to our placements because, as I said, like we're there for the entire year. But like sometimes we basically have like 2 main hospitals, and like one's in Exeter and one's in like very far away in Cornwall. So like they're like basically they're so far away that if you move to Cornwall one year, you probably may not get back to Exeter for like the entire year, because like there's too much of a hassle to actually drive that far away. So you kind of like are just relegated to like the area that you're in. So it's a bit different. But like, yeah, so I don't think for us, we don't really need a car that much. I don't have a car, and like I have gone to the placement fine. But like for you, it definitely seems like you need a car.
So Eamon, do you guys get accommodation in Cornwall? If like, how does it work? What comes first? Is it you pick where you live, and then the medical school says, okay, so you're in Cornwall at the moment, we'll place you there? Or is it that they've placed you there and you think, Christ, next year I'm gonna have to live there?
It's more you get placed there, yeah. So like it's very interesting because like some people it's very different. Like I personally like spent 4 years in Exeter, and then my final year now is in Torbay. But like some people, I think they've changed up. So like some people, it's like their first year is at Exeter, and then 2 years in Cornwall, and then their final 4th and 5th years in Exeter.
Right.
So mainly because like the medical school has gotten bigger, and like they need more. They need more space, and Truro is to like they've like kind of push more people to like go to Truro. I think they've expanded Truro a bit. Yeah, so that's kind of what it is for us.
You don't get your accommodation paid for?
No.
Oh, that burns. That hurts a little bit. But I don't know if it's just a Birmingham thing that they give accommodation for Hereford, because everyone's always like, wow, like that's really nice that they do that. And I was just a bit like, I mean, they should do. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're forcing us to go that far, you should be giving us something. But to be fair, like by the sounds of it, they are doing a lot more than sort of extra are for your repayment.
Yeah, you are like I just like a guy in Southampton was telling me that like they have a similar thing where they move, but they move for the entire year, and like the area that he moved to, he was like, I think he gets like a place for free for the entire year. I was like,
wow,
oh my gosh, like
bliss.
where's my free? Where's my free accommodation for the entire year?
Yeah, literally. But then the only problem is, well, I don't know if it's the same for the Southampton story that you're saying, but here in Birmingham, we don't really, well, we're not there for a whole year because, like I said, our placements are even, I think, fifth year, it's 18 weeks. I don't know exactly, so don't hold me to it. 18 weeks isn't the whole year. So you do still, everyone ends up renting a whole place in Birmingham for the whole year. Not a whole place, but do you know what I mean? Like rent a room for the whole year. And then they get told, oh, you're off to Hereford for either 18 weeks, either 2 months, either 16 weeks. But you're still a bit like, I just paid for rent here. So I think it is like fair that they do that, because you physically can't commute to Hereford. If you're doing surgery, like bless your soul, and surgery starts at 8 and you're trying to leave here for 8 to get there, like it takes an hour and a half, like, well, hour and 15, like with no traffic, going by the speed limits. You can't physically get there any faster. So it makes sense, but also it's almost just like, well, you're not really doing us a massive favor because we are paying rent in a place where we're not going to live anyway. So you may as well give one for free.
That is quite nice. Wait, so like you can get Hereford and surgery in Hereford?
Oh yeah. Well, no, you can't. You won't get Hereford twice in 1 year.
Okay.
No, and you will never get Hereford twice because it's so far. But you can request it. Like if you've had it or you want it every year, you can request that. But very few people request it. But for example, some people who have families near the area or who have a home, say in Worcestershire or something nearby, they might request Hereford and Worcester. And because they're further out and they're very not well received, they do, if they get requests from students, they do try and accommodate that because there's a reason why. So they do that. But yeah, you don't get it twice because it's pretty unfair.
So do you have to leave like 6 a.m. for surgery then?
Well, no, because you would be staying the night in Hereford.
All right. Yeah.
Logic.
Okay. That makes sense.
But
okay.
my housemate was in Hereford last year, and she would literally, she made such a mess in our house here in Birmingham, and would just leave like, bye, I'm off to Hereford, and we'll be like, there's no cleaners in this house. Like in Hereford you've got cleaners, but we don't have cleaners here. But she would leave Monday morning at, I think, sort of like 7 or 8 a.m. I think probably 8, get there for like 9:30. And then she'd be back by like Wednesday midday. So but that was because third year we only had sort of technically 4 days of placement, but it depends how they structure it. They might only have teaching Thursday morning, and then if she wanted to go back, she can go back. But she did actually spend more nights in Birmingham than in Hereford, which I could believe because of the mess, if you know what I mean.
Oh, like how do you like this is like so off topic, man. Like
Go on.
how do you feel like you handle like when a roommate is, or a flatmate, I mean, is messy?
I'm just sort of like, cool. I mean, I'm not the tidiest in the world, but you know when sometimes you're just like, it's so messy, it's so like disorganized, like That's it. I've blown my fuse now. I normally just sort of like just start cleaning, and then I'll like rant to my home friends like, oh my god, no one's doing cleaning, and they're just like, have you told anyone? I was like, no, I just clean it passive aggressively, and then just like wait for someone to say thank you and me to just be like, it's fine.
I don't I'm not a therapist, so I'm not sure if that's the healthiest way of dealing with it, but
I mean, it depends. Normally at the start of the year everyone's a little bit better. You don't really know what the end of the year dynamic is going to be like, but then when it gets to some point I'm just like, hey everyone, let's do a group clean tonight. Cool. That's my sort of way of like combating it. But to be honest with you, like, it's not as bad this year. I think everyone's a little bit more mature. Yeah, I don't know really. I think also it depends, like when I think I'm last year I was downstairs, so like my bedroom was on the ground floor and I would literally have to like walk through the kitchen to get into my room, so I basically called it my flat, do you know what I mean? And if it was a tip, I was just very much like, I felt really like hurt to have to walk through like the stream of dirt to get into my room, whereas now I'm on top floor, I don't really care what happens downstairs.
no, like I mean, being on the ground, like I was on the ground floor for like 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. Oh my god, being on the ground floor is so much stress. Like,
Yeah, I think it changes you as a person. When you're on ground floor, your mentality is different. You just become the naggy stress head. Were you the naggy stress head? Because I think I was when I was on the ground floor.
I like honestly, I was like, I honestly didn't care that much for the kitchen, but like I just like I made sure I had a fan, so like, I just had a fan like next to my head, and I just like turn it on so that I couldn't hear. It would be like white noise, so I couldn't hear anyone outside.
Okay. Yeah, to be fair, the noise thing was an issue.
And like if someone comes in from like partying, it's like, and like wakes you up at 2 a.m.
My sort of like devil story of the ground floor was, I'd be like in bed, whatever, I'd have to drive quite early mornings sometimes. So when I didn't have to, I'd have like a nice lie in till about like, I don't know, 8:30 or something. And my one housemate, the one who was driving to Hereford, would come downstairs, open the door, like the door would like slam shut. She'd get ice from the freezer at January time. She'd make herself a bloody iced latte, iced coffee, whatever. But to do that, she would like put her ice in a blender and it'd go like absolute carnage, and I'd be there like in bed, about 5 meters away from the culprit and her blending ice. But it's fine now because I probably get up earlier than her, and second of all, again, top floor, nothing, bliss. But that's awful.
It's just so much better being like on the top floor where you're like escaping from all like my friend, like he like he's one of my closest friends, but oh my god, like he just like he runs down the stairs.
I'm one of them too.
Like and it's like do you really need to run down this? Like, it doesn't save you that much time to run down the stairs.
Well, let's channel this energy into some other form of skill. But literally, my housemate last year, we would call her like the rabbit, because it was just like, and I was just like, it sounds like you're falling down the stairs. Like, you physically cannot go from top floor down here in 2 seconds. I don't agree that your legs have done this. And she was like, well, gravity just takes me. It actually ends up being less work for my quads. And I was like, maybe you should make them work. I don't know, just because you can just tell. And in the mornings, I got really good at like telling who was coming in the kitchen based on their movements / ice blending. So I could tell who was in the kitchen and if I wanted to come out or not. I was just like, I can't deal with you this morning. I'm going to stay in bed.
Yeah, I mean, like when you're like hearing so many people pass by all the time, you actually get like used to how they walk. Like some people like drag their feet, some people like walk faster. Like you can like
Definitely.
you can be like, that's definitely like you, isn't it? No, but like it does, like when someone like runs us, it's like kind of like is like, oh my god, I'm gonna send this video to my friend actually because to vent my feelings. No, but anyway, but because like I walk very lightly because like my parents are like very light sleepers and I walk around during the night.
Tiptoed.
So like just on a normal occasion, I just walk lightly. Like I literally like I've like lived with multiple people and like I always just scare them like when I like come in the kitchen because like I like say hello and like they're like I did not realize there was anyone here. Like no one realizes I'm behind them until like I actually say something.
Talent and a very scary thing at the same time.
I just like
oh my god, it's Eamon. Jesus.
I don't like
Are you outside my room? I don't know. I would not be able to tell quite clearly apparently.
My same friend last year, like I've scared him probably like a dozen or more times.
I love scaring people, but I'm not. I think I'm sort of similar, like because of home, like I'd be quite light-footed because you know, I'd always go upstairs and I'd be like, oh, I've got a glass of water. Like I know in the morning I'm gonna wake up Sahara Desert in my mouth, like it's gonna be awful. So I'd like go downstairs, but I don't want to like wake anyone. / my dog. That's my biggest. I just don't want to wake the little boy. So here, but I might like ask my ground floor friend, being like, what's my like gait? How do I walk? Tell me, because obviously, like we just said, people on the ground floor like are more attuned. I want to be like, what's my like distinguishing characteristic when I walk? Because I think I do walk like lightly, but I don't think it's to the point where people think I'm a floater. And when I say I like to scare my housemates, I literally just like hide and I go boo, like really loud. Like at 4 a.m. Do you know what I mean? Like it's really inappropriate, but
Are you okay about me?
It's just so funny watching them be like, ah!
I mean, I can't imagine like someone scaring me at 4 a.m. No?
You know when you get like giddy or you're like bored? I get bored so often that I'm just like, I'm gonna go scare this person. So I like open their door and I'm like, hello. It's normally the ground floor person, so I do feel bad. Maybe I need to stop triggering her because she's probably on edge anyway. Heightened. That's fine. Yeah, it's wearing off now. I'm less bored, so. Yeah.
Oh my god. So how do you have any are you excited for like final year?
Yes and no, because at the moment, actually, God, you brought up a whole can of worms. I don't know whether or not I want to intercalate after 4th year. So I last year I had it set in my mind I would intercalate in a master's in medical ethics and law. I thought that's something I'd really like to do. It's a master's, it would be brilliant. It would be a year out. When my other friends are doing a year out, the timing sort of worked quite well. But then I actually looked into it and turns out a master's you can only do after 4th year. So I was like, oh, okay. I'm really enjoying 4th year. I love the clinical aspect of it. I've really enjoyed psychiatry. It's like opened my eyes to like a new area of medicine. But it's come to the point now where I can see like the home stretch. And I'm a bit like, do I want to, at this point, and now that I've got this momentum, 2 years of clinical years done, do I want to take a year out? It's going to be a really busy year and finish that and then come back for 5th year. But I feel like after however many months during lockdown, my brain shriveled and my skills shriveled. But I think the exact same thing is going to happen, but if not more, because it's going to be a whole year out of medicine. So now I'm just thinking about that because I am really excited for 5th year. Like, I think it'll be great fun doing the pediatric placement in Birmingham. We've got obs and gynae and GP, and then the other placement is the acutely unwell patient. So just everything acute, ITU, A&E, AMU, SAU, whatever. But it's literally just I'm bouncing back and forth on the idea whether to like just go through the program or whether to do this degree and apply and see how I feel, but I just really don't know.
That's fair enough. I mean, like, I didn't intercalate. So like, I guess I don't really have any thoughts on it, but like, I definitely feel like I don't feel like anyone will regret intercalating, but also I think it's definitely a very big decision on like whether you want to take that entire year.
Yeah.
I personally, I didn't really want to stop like clinical stuff for a year and then start back, if that makes sense. So I
Yeah.
was like, I was like, I kind of, if I was to do a degree, I would probably do a degree or like during training, or maybe take some time out of training to do a degree, if that makes sense. But not, I wouldn't like, I don't think I wanted to like do a year in medical school. Yeah.
Yeah. So how are you enjoying your year then?
I think it's definitely interesting. Like I feel like it's a lot different from first year. Like I was literally telling a friend this last night. It's like in first year, like you got all your schedules, like you got like you had a timetable set for you,
Yeah.
and like you knew exactly where you're going at exact times. And now it's kind of like you need to do this yourself or you're gonna fail.
Just about that.
Yeah, so it's a lot more like the onus is on you to get this done, and that I feel like that makes sense because it's really prepping you for when you're like actually gonna be F1 and further on. So like it's a lot more. It actually feels like a lot more responsibility than last year.
Yeah.
It may just be because like last year like we had like placement partners, so it was like I had like two people and like kind of like you kind of bounce responsibility off of each other. So like if one person forgot something, like you like another person will be like, we need to get this done.
Yeah.
But now like I think I'm it's basically just me on my placement. So it's kind of like I need to remember like that I need to get this done.
Yeah. You're
So
your own sort of responsible partner.
yeah, that is a lot of work, honestly.
What sort of placements or rotations do you do in your final year?
In final year, we get like 5 weeks of 5 weeks of specialties, acute medicine, surgery, and then GP. So to this year, I have ENT anesthetics, care of the older person, and ophthalmology, along with GP.
Okay.
So I think like it really is like interesting like how everyone does it so differently because like you guys have these 16 weeks and then you have more things in GP. We had like from third year to fourth year, we had like 1 week in like in probably like 24 specialties, and now we have like 5 week blocks.
Yeah.
So
Mind you, you were saying all them 5 weeks, and I was just like, how many weeks are in a year? Like, it seems like they've 2 years for your final year. How does this make sense? But it's really, really strange, isn't it? Because you'd think, or generically, oh, everyone does psychiatry in like fourth year, but I don't think that's true, is it? Have you guys? Well, I'm guessing you guys have done psych or will do psych or something like that, right?
yeah, we had about one week of 1 week of adult psychiatry and 1 week of child psychiatry between third and fourth.
Whoa, you did child psychiatry. Interesting.
Yeah, so we like honestly it's interesting because we like I don't know, I definitely not even sure which one is better. Like I feel like a lot of medical schools you do like long blocks in like a select number of specialties, and like we do short blocks in probably almost every specialty,
Yeah.
and then we do long blocks in a number of specialties.
Mind you, you say that, but in this 8 weeks, I am meant to cover all of surgery and anesthetics. And then in the 16 weeks, we cover all of medicine. So it does end up being a long block of short blocks. So my other housemates who are on the specialty medicine rotation, I think is what it's called. So they've got 16 weeks to cover, I think it's something like 10 specialties of medicine. So some of them are 1 weeks, but most of them are sort of like I don't know, it works out that almost, well, quite a few of them, maybe like sort of 60-70% are 2-week rotations, and then the rest like 1 week gum, 1 week ophthalmology, 1 week this, 1 week that, and it's very much like, oh my goodness, that's a bit intense. So literally come Sunday they're like, cool, I need to learn everything for cardiology, otherwise tomorrow I'm just going to look like a fool. And one of those days gets taken off for GP. So yeah, like you said, we do GP from first year. We do 8 days in first year. No, we might do 4 days. I can't remember. So we do at least 4 days, but I think it's 8 days in first year. Second year, it's definitely 8 days. Third year, it's 10 days. Fourth year, I think it's 10 days. And then fifth year, it's 5 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's that's kind of, yeah, that's definitely different. I think because trying to think how we actually worked it. I think because we did like half days in first year. We did I don't know, probably under 10 half days in first year. And then the second year, we did like a whole day every month, I think it was.
Okay.
And then in third year, no, you get like a couple of weeks each term. So we did like 6 weeks every year since third year, 5 or 6 weeks of a GP every year.
I would love that. I really like GP.
I feel like, yeah, we have a lot of GP. Well, I mean, yeah, it's kind of like, I really, it's very interesting because I mean, I didn't, a friend of mine, I was in university because it's going life, but like, I think she was saying that she doesn't actually get any surgical placements for like her entire, like for medical school, or she just like gets a few weeks or something like that. So, which I was like, that's really surprising.
Yeah. I love an acute surgical abdomen. I just love it. It just makes sense. It's like, you've got pain in this quadrant. Okay, literally what are the organs in this quadrant? It might be any one of these problems. And I'm just like, yes, logic. I love it. Whereas in a medical abdomen, it's like, do you have anxiety? Like, is this a reason for your pain? Do you have Crohn's? Do you have celiacs? Do you have ulcerative colitis? Like, what could it be? And I just don't like that. I like pressing on the stomach. This hurts. Okay, let's think about what could actually be in this area.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so interesting because I mean, I'm gonna say interesting a lot. So sorry about that.
Everything's interesting.
Yeah, everything's interesting. Yeah, because I mean, I think I was on peds, I think, and like I didn't realize that like kind of anxiety could give you so much abdominal pain. I think I never really experienced a patient that had so much pain with anxiety. So it was really like surprising to me, like learning about that.
Yeah. I find it so interesting. Yeah, when you've got me saying it now. Interesting. Oh my goodness, stop it. When you read stuff, but obviously you don't take everything in because you can't do. But yeah, when you read stuff and then it actually like happens, or it happens and you're thinking, oh, it must be this list of causes, and then actually the doctor in charge or whatever's like, I actually think this could be anxiety, and just like, whoa, this happens. Like, I didn't, but you've gone from my list of like textbook thingies, and he's like, yeah, life's not really like as simple as that. So that's always, you know, how did you find peds? Like, how did you find, I don't know, working with children, working with the team? How did you like fit into that? Because they're quite close, aren't they? Like peds staff members.
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I feel like peds are like really, the peds doctors are super nice. Like all of them are really, really sweet. I think, I don't know, it was different because I don't think I would go into peds
Right.
personally, but like I feel like the work they do is like really amazing. Like the information they're able to get from patients that may not be able to say is actually happening with them, like properly. Like that like is a really amazing. Yeah, but like I think my favorite part was probably peds emergency. Maybe just because I quite like emergencies, just because like you get like a lot of different things and like you have to like figure it out fast and then like make your diagnosis and then like choose what what you have to do. Yeah. So I don't know. I do like that's kind of my thoughts on peds. Ash. Like,
Well, actually, I am applied for a job in Birmingham Children's Hospital. It's only for 4th years and above, to work in an emergency pediatric department as like a medical assistant, clerk patients, whatever. And I had my interview on Wednesday. Fingers crossed I get it. They're gonna contact me. I don't know why it did that, because they probably will contact me to say I didn't get it, but it's fine. They'll contact me by Wednesday, and I literally had like a dream that they sent me my feedback and it was like in red, like as a negative, like research too much about BCH. And I was just like, in my dream, I like texting my boyfriend being like, I bloody told you I shouldn't have researched it. I told you it was not necessary. Now they're gonna like throw me off. And I was just like, this is so dramatic. Wake up. But yeah, so I'll let you know how that goes. But hopefully you're gassing it up now. I feel like it's meant to be.
I mean, like honestly, like I feel you'll be fine. Like I think
But they were so nice, and even the consultants did even mention the same thing, basically being like, "Oh yeah, we're known as the vets of medicine because we just like our patients don't really like speak to us." Imagine calling a child like a horse.
I wouldn't be like go so far as call children animals, but I mean like
That's what I said. And they're like, no, they love it. They get really excited. Every child's a different animal. Like this person's a pony, and I was like, interesting. I wonder what I would be. I reckon I'd be a unicorn.
I'm
You
not.
What
I'm
would
not sure to say that.
you have to get involved now. What do you think?
You mean whether you would be a unicorn?
No,
Sure.
what would you be? I'm definitely a unicorn. You can say what you want, but I'm a unicorn. That's not really an animal though, is it? It's not real.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Do you ever get like very bored and just like kind of like imagine like if you could turn into any animal, like what would it be? Or is that just me? Like, I get very bored.
Wow. Yesterday we went on a walk as a house and I said, if you could have any sort of superpower but only one of them, which one would it be? And everyone was like thinking about it and I was like, flying would be cool. And then someone was like, yeah, but I'd rather just like teleport because then I don't have to like waste the hours. And I was literally like, how busy are you to like not fly? Get over it. But then I was like, I found a loophole. I was like, I know what power I'd have. They were like, oh my God, go on. And I was like what is it, like the earth powers or whatever it is, where it's like fire, water, wind, and like earth. I was like, yeah, that would be me, because that way I've got 4 in 1. So that's what I decided.
I feel that's a good decision. That's a good decision.
I don't know about the animal thing. I've never really thought about it, but I'd probably go for like top of the food chain, sort of have that security, maybe like something like a tiger.
Yeah, I feel like I'd either go for like a big cat, like a jaguar or something like that, or maybe like a big herbivore like a rhinoceros.
Yeah, because they're still scary, but like you've got like a nice diet, you know. I wouldn't mind being like an aquatic animal, but I feel like I don't know, I might get bored of the sea.
I mean, like,
you don't know what sort of stuff is down there at the bottom. I don't want to like see that. I don't want to scare myself.
oh my God, like imagine if like there was no like we had like imagine if the like the parts of the sea that we had not like seen yet, there's like giant sharks and stuff like that.
No, thank you.
I would
be the giant sharks in this situation, but still no thank you. Like I saw this thing and it was just like we've only discovered like 5% of what is in the ocean, and I was like, I'm never going into like open water ever again. Like no thank you, absolutely no way.
Oh, like I saw a YouTube video, like I'm not even kidding, like I think this squid was sickly, but like the squid was definitely about with tentacles was about 8 feet long, and like he started to like climb onto the surfer's like surfboard, and like his friend was just like cackling like while the squid was literally on his surfboard.
I would have fainted from stress.
I would have like just he like kept going off and going on the surfboard. Like, I would just like you just abandon the surfboard, like swim.
You leave. You move yourself away from this toxic situation. Eamon, over summer, I was like walking through a field, and I had just sort of like ballet pumps on, so literally like normal sort of like plimsolls or whatever they're called, and so like the middle part of my foot was like exposed, you know, like the inner bit, and I was walking, trying to like quickly like jump from this like longish like grass or whatever. It was literally like maybe like just under knee length, sort of like mid calf, and then suddenly I feel something like wet on my foot, and I was just like, I don't know what this is, and I look and it's an actual slug. I hate all bugs, I hate all insects. I literally screamed. I was like, get it off me, get it off me, hurry up. Like my friend was like literally like 3 meters away, like, ew, come here. And I literally had to like flick this thing off. It took so much courage for me to flick the slug off my own skin. And I was just like, I'm not even trying to be funny. You have to literally pick me up and put me where there's no grass. I'm not doing this ever again. Like, cheers. And I just like walked off afterwards. I wasn't even like, thank you. I was like, nah, I'm over it. Thanks for bringing me to this place where I got violated by a slug. I hate them so much. So much. And it's getting to that dark, damp season where you just walk around and there's like slugs and snails everywhere. Ew. And frogs. That's a phobia. I actually have a phobia of frogs.
Really, frog? Really? Why?
Because they're disgusting.
Sure.
That's why.
I mean, I don't think I have a problem with amphibians, snails, or slugs. I think I don't love bugs that much. I like most bugs. I don't really like. I hate cockroaches, and probably I don't like. I can handle most spiders, but I'm from Barbados, so like you guys have like this big brown spider. I was like the spider is like this big. I was like, that's too big a spider. Like that's too big.
I would have thought that the sort of bugs here are more boring and like smaller. I don't know, because the only spiders I really see are daddy long legs, and they're, even for me, I'm sort of like, that's gross, but I can deal with you in the corner. If you stay in that corner, I sort of like watchful wait it, like sort of like I will just surveillance the situation and see if it moves. But do they not have like bad hairy spiders in Barbados? You know,
No.
like big boys that you see in like Australia. That's just sort of what like imagine the sort of creatures on like warm, nice places are. There has to be some balance in the world. You can't have everything on these lovely islands, so there has to just be like disgusting insects.
No, like the biggest spider we have is probably daddy long legs, honestly.
Really? Oh
yeah.
my god, I could deal with that.
But like we do have centipedes, which are like have you ever seen a centipede before?
Yeah, like on a picture. I don't think I've actually seen one in the flesh.
Like what? Like
they look gross, but I don't think they would physically like threaten my life.
Like honestly, I think it depends, because I think the ones we have.
Double big?
Pardon me?
Are they like huge, or because I was expecting like this big?
Some of them are like, some of them in like other countries are massive, but like ours aren't that big. But they're probably about 6 inches at max. But like they can like turn like a gray color, or like as they get older, they like, you can see from their color that they're older and they're just a little bit bigger. But it's not really the size, it's like their venom is so painful. Like, I mean, I've got a bitten, like I can't, the older one's venom is just, I think that will probably send you to hospital. But like the younger ones, like I've gotten bitten by one before, and oh my gosh, it's kind of like waves of electricity emanating from the bite.
Oh my god, you've literally got me like looking down at the floor in case like one of these bad boys like just like leaps out. What the hell? Me being like, no, I don't think it will threaten my life, like the actual bug phobic, and then you just go and tell me that they will send me to hospital. Cool, I was about to say Barbados sounds like a dream, no negatives, I'll be going there for my elective if it ever happens, but
no. Oh my god. I just like scared you away from Barbados.
Away from anywhere that has centipedes. So
I think most hot places have centipedes, honestly.
Yay. I just need to wear wellies everywhere. I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah, that is probably a
Foot
good.
protection.
I mean, like, have you? I like honestly, I think I would like to see like a really big anaconda, but like I also,
In a zoo environment?
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it in the wild, but also like I would make sure to stay away from it in the wild because I don't want to die.
That's really wise. I'm really glad that you've come to this conclusion by yourself.
Because like you see people with like snakes are like absolutely massive, like probably like 100 pounds, and it's just like, are you not worried they're gonna like strangle you in your sleep or something?
Yeah, to death. Yeah, no, see, when I see people with like giant snakes, I'm just like, oh my god, what has happened for you to like decide this is where you want to be? Like, what has brought you to this moment right now? Because I would just, I'm too terrified of snakes. Yes, no. I think they're quite cool, like in films, I'd be like, ooh. But actually, no, have you seen that film Snakes on a Plane? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, my like hairs are on end just thinking about it. Like there were so many bloody snakes on that plane.
I like honestly, I love horror movies, so like I love that was
Same. I love like the psychological horrors, but yeah, it did the job. I was literally sat in my seat like, oh, disgusting. But there were genuinely like too many snakes. Like all I could hear was hissing.
yeah, it was like I don't know. I just
Imagine if you were on that plane, like how would you even react? What would you do at this point?
I mean like I guess you would just die, wouldn't you? Like you just like resign.
Yeah. Do you though like stay super super still and hope that they won't like attack you? Or do you genuinely just like take the L and be like, well, I'm gonna die, so
I mean like that's actually, I feel like I feel like I'd fight it. Like I like if those things are so powerful.
Eamon's there with like some sort of pen, like trying to stab all of the snakes on that plane, single-handedly defeated the snakes.
I like honestly, I probably would just like lock myself in the bathroom. Just like
Did someone not think of doing that?
I think they thought of it and then the snake came out from like the actual toilet and I was like
Oh.
I don't understand how the snake got in the toilet system.
And also, surely, why wouldn't you just like close that seat? Or was a person on the toilet actively? I don't know.
I think yeah, I don't know. I think they might have been on the toilet. I can't remember now. But yeah, that was such an old movie. Yeah.
Good.
Wait, yeah, it was good. What's your favorite horror movie?
I was gonna ask you the same question. I actually really enjoyed watching The Boy. Me and one of my really close friends, we love like watching horror movies together. So we watched The Boy because I think it was actually like a decent plot, and you were genuinely like, what the hell? Like, is this toy literally alive? Like, how? Because you know, most of them, they seem like it's some sort of like spiritual creature or something, but it's actually like someone else either having a joke or whatever. But that was actually really quite good. I rewatched Annabelle with the same friend because I remember watching it when I was literally like 16, like crying myself to sleep in the cinema, being like, I can't watch it, like it's so scary. But I actually, now that I think about it, I didn't really like rewatching Annabelle. And The Woman in Black, I think, is like a pretty decent sort of like gothic thriller, I would argue. What about you? What's your insight on the horror film sitch?
I mean, I think I quite like shock scares, I say.
The jumpy ones.
Yeah. So I mean, I like Chucky was like one of my first horror films. Like Chucky, like I was done with like stuffed toys. Like I was like after I was like, yeah, we're not doing stuffed toys anymore.
Goodbye. You know what actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not having them come to life on me. Like we're not doing that.
Don't want to take that risk. No.
I was younger, so like I'm not like that much of a baby now. But I
would still, if I'm like after watching Annabelle, there's absolutely no way I would comfortably sit in someone's house when they have like a porcelain doll there. I would just be like, oh, this is not fun.
Honestly, Annabelle was the ugliest doll though. Like
Yeah.
it was meant to be creepy.
Maybe that's the reason why everyone died, because she was just so ugly. That's it. Full stop. No one loved her, so she was like, I'm gonna do the same to you folks. But I didn't actually really get the story of Annabelle, and I have to rewatch it. Because I was just like, I swear she was accidentally killed. So why did she then? Oh no, she died, didn't she? But the spirit wasn't Annabelle's spirit. It was like a demon spirit, wasn't it? Okay, cool. We've solved the plot. Calm down. So go on. What other ones? So do you prefer then the like violent ones, like Saw, and where like blood comes off, everyone's screaming, or do you prefer like the mental ones?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't say I prefer the violent ones, but I do like a good ghost story. I do like a good ghost story.
Interesting.
I like Annabelle, like the possession, like Exorcist, the Exorcist films. Like I do love.
I love the Purge films. I don't know why I didn't say that. I love the Purge films, and genuinely, the storyline is actually decent.
I feel people were saying like Purge is horrible. I honestly like all of the films, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
I'm trying to think of, because I swear this one I haven't seen. So the first Purge I've seen definitely. It's with the mask. It's a classic one where it's like the house gets locked but it gets broken into, and that guy comes in. Seen that one. What's the next Purge? What's Purge 2?
I think it was Purge Anarchy. So it was like where it was where like the person, oh my gosh, what was it? Basically, it was looking at a son and, or no, it was looking at two mothers, and they were trying to like, they were looking at like, those are like richer people, I think. So like they had like a faster security system, and it was looking now at like less fortunate people and like how they deal with the purge. So it was like actually looking at like the city areas and stuff like that, and they were basically like trying to run away.
Right.
Like,
I don't think I've seen the second one. What was the third one? Where it's the Purge election year, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. The Purge election year, that one I think was they were literally, so they were actually like people, like affluent people were actually like, I think selling poor people to like be like killed in their homes. I think that was like the election year.
Yeah.
And then they were trying to save this this politician who won.
Yeah. I really like that one, I think. And then the final one that I can remember is the first Purge, which was focusing on like a really poor area of the country. And in the first Purge, the white affluent politicians targeted this like very deprived area full of like ethnic minority groups, being like, you guys will test out the first Purge, and everyone there was just like, what, like we don't really like agree with this. But then they realized, okay, cool, yeah, they're literally doing the Purge, like get rid of us, like sort of like, oh, scum of the earth, let them kill each other sort of thing. But then I can't remember what the ending was, but I think this guy was just sort of like saved a few people, but I don't think he saved enough. I'm not too sure. But then there's another Purge coming out, but I've not seen that.
Is there another Purge coming out?
I think so. They're always bashing out a new Purge.
I think they just love the Purge movies now.
Maybe it's like the final Purge.
Maybe.
I think it was something along the lines of, and no more Purges.
Oh, okay. I thought like the one with the politician ended the Purges, man. I may be wrong. I'm not quite sure.
Oh yeah. I'm confused, but there's definitely a new Purge. We should watch that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
we should do a reaction video to the Purge. And you both are like.
I honestly, I like horror movies, but I'm a big scaredy cat. So
I need to, like, if I'm watching one, I either need someone there with me, or I need to watch it in a dark room but know that it's daytime, so that once I like open my blinds, there's like sunshine and I feel protected, and I forget by the time I go to sleep. Otherwise I will never fall asleep.
Oh my, I literally I was so embarrassed when I was with my friend in London and we were watching you remember the one Animal Graveyard? It's Stephen King one. I don't think it was called Animal Graveyard. Pet Cemetery. Pet Cemetery.
I've never seen it.
Oh, well, I won't spoil it for you, but like basically like it started like with I was actually like imagine me like in a full cinema like before lockdown like this was like last year and like I think literally it was like a completely quiet road and then like this loud truck comes up and like I was so ready to be scared. I think I literally screamed in like in a cinema.
In a silent theatre, and everyone's looking like someone sent this guy home.
Like I like
Even that a truck, it wasn't actually something scary. It was literally like a moving object came onto screen, and you were like, ah!
like people were laughing at me. I was so embarrassed. Like I was like, I'm glad it's dark. Like no, like
no one will remember my face.
you know, you were like, we were sitting at the front as well, so it's like hopefully no one realizes where this song was coming from.
No, pleasure. I remember I don't like watching horror films in cinema because I would be that guy and I don't want to be that person. Like I would almost like crumble in embarrassment. But I was like forced to watch Split with 3 of my friends. And do you remember the film Split? It was maybe like 2018 or something. No, it wouldn't have been 2017, 2016. But anyway, I remember literally throughout almost like the whole thing, I had my coat on. I literally had like this like fluffy woolen like trench coat, and I was covering half of my face, and only a slither of one eye was visible throughout the whole film because I was so like terrified. I didn't want to like watch it, but I didn't want to like just be in a dark like area, not seeing anything. So I literally just genuinely, there's like a picture of me and it's just this coat on my face and like this part of my eye hanging out. But even then I'd like cover this little area because I was just like, I don't want to be here. I didn't like it.
I thought Split was a good movie, but I don't know, I didn't find it that like much of a horror.
I found it very like mentally scarring. Like the worst part of the film for me was the ending where you were just sort of like, oh, and like the biggest monster is not the one that was defeated. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, fair enough.
And that's the part that I was like, no, I really don't like this. Because normally in horror films, they're like, the worst demon is over. Like maybe there'll be like another demon, but it moves on. But when it's like, nah, this is like this, I don't know. I guess it just depends on what you believe in and whether you do think spiritual things exist and whatever. I still don't know where I stand. I think they do exist, but I don't really want to think about it. Do you know what I mean? But when it's like a psychological thriller, I do love them the most. But when they make it that it's not, that everyone agrees this stuff happens, do you know what I mean? Like emotional abuse, like physical abuse, whatever, that's when I'm like, no, I don't like this now. Like it's too like real. Do you know what I mean? That gives me proper nightmares. Whereas stuff like Annabelle, and I bet you she's going to turn up in my dreams and be like, oh, you don't think I'm scary enough? But anyway, stuff like Annabelle, you could, like, some people would argue, like, no, that does not exist. It's just a plot. Whereas when you can physically not deny that this stuff happens, that's when I'm like, oh, I hated that film. It was so scary. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think it's nice to, I think movies are nice to get away from reality.
Yeah, and then when they bring it back at the end, I'm like, this is not what I paid for. Refund.
Okay. Well, I think we've gone enough off topic for like this time. So thank you so much, Ravi, for your insight into everything, localities, movies, everything, like animals, superpowers. Yeah. So like guys, so remember to like keep up to date with our content by joining Slack, our SR Space group, and joining the Mets Academy YouTube channel by liking and subscribing. Yeah, so thanks guys. See you next time.
Bye.
I think one of the most important things I hope to achieve is to get to know other colleagues and how they're meeting their challenges and kind of the ways that they look for solutions to problems, especially in leadership.
I'm really hoping to learn from the faculty and also my peers and see how I can develop as a leader.
So it's actually inspired me to really think deeply about who I am, not just as a leader, but as a person.
Just by connecting me with some really interesting people who have already had some great achievements and who I think will go on to have even greater achievements.
The HLA has empowered me to consider leadership in all its shapes and sizes and to recognise that I am also a leader.
I like to be pushed a little bit out of my comfort zone, so I think when you start to feel uncomfortable with things, that's a good stimulus for growth. If you're not feeling uncomfortable, then I think you start to stagnate, and I think that's what the HLA offers as an opportunity to do.
To think about my own leadership style and also to try and put on paper some initiatives I'd like to lead in the future.
I can develop as a leader of the team that I'm already involved in with MediSense, but also pick up extra skills that will make me more effective in leading medical clinical teams in the future.
Leadership is effective.
Strong leadership inspires people to work independently, but it takes real skill in leadership to bring people together for real change.